To create a video in HTML, we can use the video tag. The video tag has a source attribute that allows you to define the location of your video. So first of all, we obviously need to get a video. So to get a video, we go to Pexels, and on the website, we can basically select videos. We have 30 videos here. We are just going to download the first one. Doesn't really matter which one though, since we are just going to test this. We press the download button, and once the video is downloaded, we can take the video and drag it into our folder. We can now rename it to make it easier to get the path, basically. We can, for example, say this is a street.mp4. Now we close this video. We could also preview the video right here if we wanted to. And inside of our HTML file, we have to define the path to our video. So we could either go and copy the path, or we could just type in street.mp4 since we are in the same folder right now. And once we do so, we should already be able to see the video on our web page. So you basically see it's as easy as that. To embed a video, but like this, it obviously doesn't make too much sense because the video is too big. The user can't really play the video because you see it right now, it's just an image, and so on. So the first thing we can add is basically the controls attribute, which would add some controls to the video. So now the user could press the play and the pause button. Since we might not like the width of the video, we could also add the width attribute and say that we want to use 500 pixels, for example. So as you can see, the video is a lot smaller right now. We could also define a height, but this doesn't make too much sense in my opinion, because the height usually automatically adapts to the width, and by changing the height, you would basically destroy the aspect ratio. If you would, for example, say that the height is, for example, 700, you can see that this looks pretty weird. But yeah, I just want to make sure that you know that this would work as well. Now, if we load the website, the video is basically not playing at all. So the user first has to click on the play button, and then he can click on the pause button, which might be the way you want it to be. But sometimes you might want to use the autoplay option to immediately start to play the video once the user lands on the page. And as you can see, now the video immediately starts. And this oftentimes happens if you think about the website when you have like a header on the top without the controls attribute. And now once the user lands on the page, he basically has a video that is basically the header and, for example, shows what a company is doing and so on. So yeah, that might be a use case where autoplay might be really useful. We could also add the loop attribute, which just makes the video loop. So if we go to the end of the video, for example, and we'll wait until it's over, it basically just restarts again. We could add the muted attribute if you want to mute the video, but since this video does not have any sound anyways, this doesn't really matter. But once we remove the muted attribute, you can see that we have this speaker right here, and once we add the muted attribute, you can see that we have this muted speaker right here. You could also create a poster, so basically a thumbnail, a preview image, however you want to call it, by using the poster attribute, and now define the poster you want to use. And we have this image basically inside of our folder that has the name image.png. So we could basically use that as a preview image. And now if I'm going to remove the autoplay, we should just see our preview poster basically, which yeah, looks terrible in this case, but this is something you could basically do. I'm going to remove it because I prefer the normal way. So the last attribute that I want to show you that you'll probably not use that often is the preload attribute, but you have 3 different options for preloading your video, which basically means once the user gets on the page, how should the browser load the video? If you use auto, the browser will automatically decide whether he preloads the video or whether he does not preload the video. If you use metadata, the browser will just preload metadata for the video. And if you choose none, the browser will basically not preload anything. And if you preload data, this basically means that once the user gets to the video is preloaded to a certain extent already, and this obviously means that the user will be able to see the video faster, but this also means that the user will use more data to load this video. If your website is mainly being displayed on a phone, you can imagine that this would take a lot of mobile data to preload the videos, and in that case it might not make too much sense to get the browser to preload the video. But in our case, we just put this to auto, for example, and yeah. And this is all you need to know about videos in HTML.